It's way less profound than what we, as we're watching this, all eyeballs from the Bitcoin community is watching it and saying, oh, wow, this is a really big deal. Even if it got into the top 20 from a market cap standpoint, 20 companies in the world, I think people still aren't going to understand what the hell he's doing. It takes a company 1,000 years with $100 million to compound and retain $100 billion. Okay. He did it in 5 years. It doesn't matter whether you understand it or not. He's hacking the legacy system, and it's freaking nuts.
Let me break this down for my fellow Bitcoiners. In just 8 weeks, I've seen a serious shift. More strength, more energy, and fast muscle gains. The reason? FITSCRIPT. They ran 124 biomarkers, blood, hormones, inflammation, and built a fully custom plan, nutrition, training, supplements. No guesswork, no templates. This is functional medicine meets precision fitness for high-performing men who want sovereignty over their health. If you care about optimization the way you care about your money, test, don't guess. Don't trust, verify. Hit the link in the description or scan the QR code on the screen to check out FITSCRIPT and see what's possible. You opted out of the broken financial system by adopting Bitcoin and taking self-custody of your money. But protecting your wealth is only part of the equation. Now it's time to protect your freedom. My family is stacking sats and stacking flags. A second passport is our hedge against government overreach and uncertainty. If you're a Bitcoiner looking for your exit strategy, our friends at Citizen X will help you secure second citizenship through investment or descent. Book your free call today by hitting the link in the show notes or simply scanning the QR code on the screen. With this inclusion, do you think that this kind of changes the global narrative? Because right now there's a couple things. There's still many people that are very, very dismissive of Bitcoin. And there's also a little bit of like a partisan, a lot of a partisan slant to it, just because the previous administration was very, was basically clamping down and trying to
attacking it. Yeah, they were just straight up attacking it.
Yeah, versus the existing one, which yes has also gone the shitcoin route. But do you think that the narrative changes with this? Does it change on a company perspective, just a general? This is a great asset for savings or pristine collateral, or even on a nation state kind of perspective? Does it begin to change that narrative?
I think it does, but it's really slow. I think it's way less profound than what we, as we're watching this, all eyeballs from the Bitcoin community is watching it and saying, oh, wow, this is a really big deal. It is. But I think for your everyday person or somebody, they don't even know what the name of the company is or what it does or how it's doing. I would argue most Bitcoiners don't know how he's able to buy so much Bitcoin. But yeah, I don't think that it's going to be as big of a deal as we might think it is as we're looking at it on the inside. Now, with time, I think you give it another 2 years and you watch what unfolds. If the company gets itself into the top 50 in the S&P 500 and maybe in the top 20, then it starts becoming a major talking point. And it becomes something that everybody's like, what the hell is this thing and how is he doing this? I just don't understand. And for a person to be like, oh, well, he's just securitizing Bitcoin with the fixed income market. They're like, huh? What? Like, what in the world does that even mean? Mm-hmm. I think that's pretty much where everybody is today. And I think people will still be there, even if it got into the top 20 from a market cap standpoint, 20 companies in the world. I think people still aren't going to understand what the hell he's doing. I believe that. Yeah.
Yeah. It's going to have to be the best performing company on the planet. And still people will be convinced it's a straight up Ponzi.
The thing is, though, I think for him to be kind of at that market cap and of that size, let's say he gets into the top 20 companies in the world from a market cap standpoint, Bitcoin's going to be at 1 million. I would have to go play with some numbers and figure out the math. But off the top of my head, I'd be like, yeah, Bitcoin would have to be at 1 million plus for something like that to be kind of playing out, which, is going to happen. It's just a matter of the timeline of when that plays out. Yeah. But if included, you have every owner of the S&P 500 that now is has a surrogate position in Bitcoin, whether they like it or not. There's some exposure to Bitcoin. And I think that what's kind of playing out globally right now is this, surrogate ownership of Bitcoin, because so many institutions are starting to adopt it, whether it's through ETF vehicles or, corporate vehicles. And then the corporate vehicles are being inside of the ETF wrappers, and it goes on and on and on. But if we were going to look at it from just a human population standpoint, and you take all of the people in the world and you said on this day, this many people had some exposure to Bitcoin, whether they were self-custodial or it was through some surrogate wrapper. And then the day after it's included in the S&P 500, how many more people have that exposure? The number is going to expand significantly, a lot. And I think that that's an important highlight. And it's just, as a person that likes to, and everybody else on the show here likes to foot stomp self-custody Bitcoin, that's the real ticket. That's the thing that's going to save you in the event of, a currency meltdown and all these things. Mm-hmm. That is first and foremost the most important thing that we can possibly talk about. But that doesn't mean that, your 70-year-old grandfather who has ETF, SPY in his portfolio is ever going to self-custody Bitcoin or even want to own Bitcoin, but yet now he does own Bitcoin. And I think that that's just kind of something really important to kind of think about and ponder as like this Bitcoin virus continues to spread and find its way into everything.
Yeah. Yeah. It's very interesting because, again, I'm basically the type of person that you're talking about, like self-custody or bust is kind of like, and it's not that I don't, I think that what Saylor is doing is absolutely, what he should be doing. It's smart. And a lot of people have done very well, grabbing onto some MSTR and everything. For me, as an individual, I like to keep it simple, stupid. And if I feel that I can't fully wrap my head around the benefits and risks, pretty simply, then my general answer is be good at something, spend less than you earn, and save in money nobody can print. And that seems to have been a pretty good, pretty good pathway for myself. But it's crazy what saving in money nobody can print can do for you. Looking at like the valuation of MicroStrategy before and after Bitcoin, like in 4 or 5 years, Preston, do you remember what they were before they before they announced that they were doing a Bitcoin treasury strategy?
MSTR. So when I interviewed Michael right when he announced this back in, call it January, February of 2020, we did the interview and he had $500 million of liquid current assets, cash, basically in treasuries, I believe, on his balance sheet. And that was it. And his company's earnings capacity was about 50 to 75 million annualized. I would guess somewhere in that ballpark. And so, if you were going to put a multiple on the company, I would guess the multiple back then was probably 20 or 25. On those earnings, it's a little bit over $1 billion company, probably $1.5–2 billion in market cap is what it was valued at. And today it's over 100. So think about this, because this is the math on something like that. Let's just, for real simple math, let's say it was $1 billion company. It might've been two. $1 billion company, for it to grow its retained earnings to over $100 billion. Okay. When they only make, and I'm going to round up and use a really big number, which it wasn't, 100 million a year. Okay. Do you know how long that would take? It's 10, 100, it's 1,000 years. It takes a company 1,000 years with $100 million to compound and retain $100 billion. Okay. He did it in 5 years. That's the math. Right?
Yeah.
So like when people are looking at it and they're saying, I just don't understand, like how in the world can somebody take that earnings power and compound it and basically warp himself 1,000 years into the future with where it's capped at today. And he did it because, he understood the hack to Isabella's point, which is he's hacking the fiat system. And people are looking at it and saying, I don't understand it. Well, it doesn't matter whether you understand it or not. He's hacking the legacy system, and it's freaking nuts.
Yeah. If you can get people to lend you stuff that can be created at the flick of a switch to buy something that can never be created by anybody else on earth.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good deal. You should probably take that deal. So
my thing is like, what's going to happen with all the Bitcoin all these companies are stacking? Like,
Isabella, this is a really important thing. I think that this is something we need to address, because if we warp ourselves 10 years, 15 years, 20 years into the future, we're still going to have businesses. We're still going to have companies that are providing valuable services and products to the world, right? Now, whether we have robots making all of it, that's a whole nother discussion point, but we're going to have businesses, right? And the question is how are they going to custody their retained earnings? Because I'm of the opinion 10, 20 years from now, it's Bitcoin, and we're not going to be saving in dollars or anything like that. You're going to be saving in Bitcoin. How are these companies going to be custodying it? Well, I think that you're going to be using, multi-sig institutional grade custody. And a lot of people don't like hearing that came out of the past decade, where it's like, well, I've got my hardware wallet and I etched it on. Well, that's you as an individual at your house. But what do you do when you have a whole board and an executive team of people that, I can't trust whether the CEO and the CFO are mingling and they're going to steal everything out of the treasury, right? These things become a very institutional grade, like custody model. And I think that legacy Bitcoiners just need to get maybe a little bit more comfortable with the direction of where the world wants Bitcoin. The world wants to use, businesses want to use Bitcoin. And so some of this is going to maybe not be what people want, but it's going to be where a lot of it goes, in my humble opinion.
I like, again, a lot of the issues that we've seen, we'll call it the fuckery of the past, is when too few people have too much control, and things in the background aren't what they seem, and it's easy for individuals to act maliciously before being caught. And like you said, the idea of multi-institutional multi-sig, I think, is a very powerful one, where you need a threshold of not just individuals, but completely separate entities to collude in order to rug pull. And I think that won't just be the trend, it will be demanded by the market in the future. Mm-hmm. I think that it will take some lessons to get there as a norm, because there's going to, it's just a cascading larger and larger rug pulls until people learn their damn lessons, it would seem. But, as individuals, all you need to do is glean from this that, again, saving in money nobody can print is a life hack, and it may not teleport an individual 1,000 years into the future if people aren't lending you billions of dollars, but it does allow you to save the fruits of your labor well into the future very, very effectively. And you can use the same, or in some people's opinions, better security tactics than current for your individual stack. So you can absolutely be learning something from this, even if you don't personally want to own MicroStrategy. There's still stuff to be gleaned here. Hey, you. Yes, you watching the Bitcoin price movements and the latest exciting news. It's awesome to stay informed, but the real power of Bitcoin comes from taking control. Don't just watch, take action. Head over to btcsessions.ca/learn for free step-by-step tutorials that guide you through every major skill you need to know, plus full video playlists for deeper dives on any topic you like. And if you're ready for the ultimate fast track, scroll to the bottom and check out bitcoinmentor.io for premium one-on-one experience with my team of Bitcoin experts to ensure you get it right the first time. Don't wait. Secure your Bitcoin future today. Hit the link in the show notes or scan the QR code on the screen.